really pushed to get it. I think it would pay for itself.
I don't know much about it.
I've been reading up and looking at it and stuff, but it don't take a whole lot of room.
Okay.
Hey,
Hello, hello.
but it's something,
Go on, how are you?
I've said something to the mayor about, but he don't like it. Too much money. He always says that.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that heads up. Are the mics
I
are on?
guess we're live now. Are we live now?
We're live.
Great. So you didn't catch everything I said, I hope.
Heard it all.
Something's different with the feed today. We're live right now, so we'll have the meeting starting momentarily. Everybody
Wow.
on YouTube, like.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman of the board. We will.
How are you, Richard?
Good, how are you doing, Kevin?
Very well.
Doing, Brian? How you feeling? Good? Justin?
Oh, we're live, Justin. Well, hello, how are you this evening?
Good, how are you? Working with Joe today?
Yeah, oh yeah, he's turned it up.
Coming your way.
Howdy.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Okay.
We'll finish out 2020.
Hey, we're live right now.
Hey, brother.
Hey, buddy.
Wednesday.
How you doing?
You did it
Hi,
yourself.
Shay, how are you?
I'm alive too.
Very nice.
Well, we had to put him back in a coma.
They do?
Yeah.
Control thing?
He was, yeah, him trying to come up, I don't know if they did it too fast or what, but he just, he started having seizures again.
He's got a
And
day.
I told him, I said, man, you gotta get one. They said they were trained doctor and everybody involved this time, but I don't know. I hope, pray to God, I just so much, I just hope God blesses you to, make you, you know, give you the right medicine to give him to him. If they get the right medicine, he'll stop. But he's,
Dude, have a new idea go well.
hi.
Yeah, so I'll
Thank you for asking.
You're ready?
I said, disregard it.
You're not
I was just having more.
very well.
Sun shining.
Right?
Did they ever find out who hit that pole up there?
I don't know, man, they did a number on it.
And you know what, I went up there
Here,
and there was no, there was no
pass
pole.
that out when you.
Nothing.
Car was gone. You
And
ready?
the car was gone. How it done that, I have no clue.
Somebody took a phone pole out on Randy and about 4 o'clock. in the
I'm
morning.
zoom down. Two?
That's been about, what, 3-4
Month.
weeks ago?
Yeah.
Month?
I mean, it was bad.
Like it flipped it off and then cut it in half.
You're on Randy.
On Randy.
They had to be going 80 miles an hour.
I don't know how they did it, cause they just turned down through there and it wasn't that far down there, what, 100 yards?
That's
This
great.
says they had a lot to drink.
Who we miss?
Hmm.
Oh, everybody's here?
Had some momentum going.
I think we're about ready.
You're in Lenny.
We are live right now.
Car was gone.
We are
the
live.
guy was gone.
Live on YouTube.
We're on live.
Behave.
Okay.
They said, smile, you're on candid camera.
That was a good show when it was about the only thing on. Black and white TV and,
Yeah.
Mute my phone.
oh, that's a good idea.
Yes.
Last time I think I had to pay $1 or something, didn't I?
I thought it was buying us pizza,
No.
which I still haven't seen yet.
Strike that from the record.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Lawrenceburg Redevelopment Commission meeting for April the 12th, 2021, 4:30 p.m. Ms. Brookbank, can we get a roll call vote?
Executive Director Brian Messmer,
Here.
President Richard Richardson,
Present.
Vice President Lenny Fryman,
Here.
Secretary Kevin Schaefer,
Here.
Member Janie Wilson, here, Member Brian Johnson.
Present.
Lawrenceburg School Board Member Brian Jansen is absent, and City Attorney Del Weldon is absent.
So currently absent. We'll go ahead and read off the important changes that impact you.
And he's here, okay.
And Del Weldon is here.
Here.
Hi.
Just called your name. Public meetings, new voluntary Title VI Public Involvement Survey. The following statement shall be read at every public meeting held on city premises. As recipient of federal funds and in support of Lawrenceburg's efforts to ensure non-discrimination and equal access to all citizens, the city gathers statistical data regarding participants in city activities. Therefore, we have provided a voluntary Title VI Public Involvement Survey at this meeting. You are not required to complete this survey. However, the form is anonymous and will be used solely for the purpose of monitoring our compliance with Title VI and ADA. And if you would like one of those forms, we keep them right in the back of the room underneath that photo of the city of Lawrenceburg, right in that back corner. So feel free to fill out one of those if you so wish to do so. But thank you for the roll call, Ms. Brookbank. If everybody's had time to review the meeting minutes from the previous meeting, I'll take a motion to approve those meeting minutes tonight.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Do we have any announcements this evening? Any board members, any announcements, or director? All right. Ms. Brookbank, we'll go ahead and have the financial report.
Okay, as of April 5th, the balance for redevelopment is $2,139,253.49. And after our one project, it would be $2,094,506.39.
Thank you. Does anybody have any additional questions about that? If not, we'll move on to our new business. Mr. Messmore, we've got the row house structural and external repair.
Mr. President, I would like to request a rearrangement of the agenda this evening so we can get Michelle Cohn up here, the Director of Main Street, to go over the mural program, the history tour, and touch on the Main Street report if necessary. But she is in the middle of a online conference and made the point to come up here and look at us.
All right, well, we're glad to have you. Go ahead.
Thank you,
Michelle.
everybody. I'm Michelle with Lawrenceburg Main Street, and yes, we are indeed in the middle of our Main Street Now virtual conference, which has been informative so far, so thank you for moving me up on the agenda. And also, thank you for involving Main Street and trusting us to implement some of the programs that we've put forth this year. I'll start with our history tour. So we were granted $5,000 to put together a walking tour for downtown Lawrenceburg. We are working with the Dearborn County Historical Society. Our history tour will be app-based, so we've launched a downtown community app. The app will list all of the downtown businesses and restaurants, attractions, events that are going on, and it'll also host this history tour, which thus far is about 12 stops. We think it'll be about 45 minutes long. Its goal will be to give the basics of the history of the city of Lawrenceburg while also kind of work with our branding of Whiskey City. So after someone takes this tour, they'll really have a good idea of who we are in Lawrenceburg, the history, basically flood history, a little bit about agriculture and ferry, riverboats. We'll touch on the Vance Towsey House, the Angevine Cabin. We're gonna head around to the train depot, talk a little bit about the Liberty Theater, end up with the Jesse Hunt House, which is the current Civista Bank building, talk about the levee, firehouse, and then we'll end up at Civic Park. So we feel like it'll be a good tour. We've got some great historic photographs, and we're just about to maybe hire someone to take some current photographs of the pictures and hire someone to do the narration. So we're looking forward to it. It's moving along. Does anyone have any questions about our history tour? Okay. All right, then I'm going to move on to our mural tour. I don't know, Brian, you've got the photos. Do you want to pass those along? Okay. So what you're looking at are the very first drafts from the artist, and again, really rough drafts. So we asked him to kind of focus on our river history. And we have a committee, and a very strong committee, but everyone has different ideas. So this is the very beginning of our launching off point. We're excited. We've got the wall. It's the Strong's Pizza wall that's on the burned out lot, so you'll see that on the renderings. And we'll just move forward from there. I think we're going to have, well, no, I don't think, we're not going to stop until we have just a winner for downtown that everyone's really going to love. Christian Dallas is a great artist to work with, and he's excited to work with us. So looking forward to that. Anybody have any questions about the permanent mural? Okay, and I think you also saw some pictures of some temporary murals that we're going to do in addition to the permanent one. This is a really great sticker material that goes onto the wall. These will be encouraging people to interact with them and take selfies. They'll all be branded with the city of Lawrenceburg, so when people see the images, they'll know where they are. Again, you're looking at in the middle of our design process. All of these images that you're seeing, we're going to incorporate the city logo, which you're not seeing on those. That's going to be added on the second round. But we're really excited. So we think we'll have at least 4 murals going up in the month of June. So we'll have a big rollout and lots for people to see and do on the art front in downtown. I also found out that the Dearborn Highland Arts Council has funding for a mural on the side of their building. So we can look forward to some really fun art projects in downtown.
Is that the tinfoil type material, the temporary ones?
That's the one, yeah, it is, it does look like tinfoil. I mean, it's
Not
reflective.
tinfoil, but it looks like it.
Yeah, and it goes on really easily. It's meant to, it should last at least a year. We're gonna do a test install on some of the more rougher surfaces just to kind of make sure it works. If not, we'll make sure we put it on a building where it's gonna have some longevity. But we're excited about it. It's worked in other towns, and we're working with Brain Bucket on the material, so I think it'll be good.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting. It's fun too. Questions about murals? Okay, our grant program. So our grant program is it's more utilized than it ever has been in the past. I guess I'm really here to tell you a little bit about the residential exterior improvement grant. That's the one that we have been running out of money every year. And we did a little history on how it's been utilized. So this is the one grant that isn't focused in downtown. So in 2020, 17 total grants were dispersed. 9 of them were outside of the downtown area. Those grants totaled $35,000. 8 of them were in the downtown area, and those grants totaled $25,000. The ones outside of downtown, they're mostly focused up on Bilby Road. Roofs, siding, and windows tend to be the focus of those improvements. The ones in downtown tend to be more paint and repair, kind of siding and porch repair, those types of things. So if you're looking at the ones up on the hill, they're using them for those larger repair problems or repair projects. The ones here in downtown are more for smaller things, and they're more cosmetic. This year, we exhausted the $65,000 in basically 3 months. So we ran out at the end of March. There were 14 total grants dispersed. 8 of them were up on Bilby Road. There were 4 roof replacements and 4 windows and doors. The downtown applicants there were 6 of those. 3 were paint and repair, 1 window, and 2 window and siding. So basically, I think Brian had asked, what would happen if we had more money in that program? So if you gave us another $25,000, I think that we would give that money out within a month. The program is out there, it is well utilized. It tends to go sort of in blocks, especially when you're up on Bilby Road. So we'll get, one person gets their roof done and then they'll tell all of their neighbors. So we'll have 3 or 4 projects on the same block. But if you chose to put more money into the program, I think it would last a month, maybe 2. I have at least 3 projects in the pipeline right now. We're trying not to accept new applications, and we're telling people to apply in January, but some people are giving us their applications already. So I have 3 in my hands right now, and those are all in downtown right now. So that's,
Yeah, the bad thing about it is we're in the month of April. I mean, we're only 4 months into the 2021 year. So is the idea to have this, and I don't know, because I wasn't here at the inception of it, but is the idea to have this program last for at least a majority of the year? Because 4 months doesn't seem like, I mean, that's a quick amount of time to roll through all of the funding that they have available for the program. And do you have a recommendation as to what this number should be on a yearly basis outside of the 65,000?
more so than the amount of money, I feel like it would be good to decide what effect you want the money to have. Do you want it to, I don't know because I wasn't here when it was created, but do you want it to make downtown look better? Is it, because what I feel like is the ones that we give away in the downtown area are truly for people who cannot afford it. These are people who, if we change the match, because right now the match is 2/3 the city and 1/3 the applicant. For the downtown folks, if we matched it 1-to-1, some of them wouldn't be able to afford to do the project. So in the folks that are downtown, I truly feel that this grant is helping them do things and helping downtown look better, projects that would not have gotten done without our help. The other projects, as far as someone replacing their roof, or, because I guess what I think is gonna happen is that if we shut this project down this year, in January of next year, I will have 14 people who are wanting to replace their roof, non-emergency, and they'll all turn them in January. Because, I mean, why not just flag your calendar for January and let the city of Lawrenceburg, put $5,000 towards your roof. So that's where I see it going if we don't make a change.
So it's a double-edged sword, because obviously it's a successful program, but.
It's a successful program, but we need to decide who it is that you want to help with the program, I guess. And it's a tricky situation unless you start to make it income-based, which is.
From a Main Street perspective, what's your opinion on it? I mean, what is your opinion as the Main Street director that you would give to this board?
As the Main Street director, I feel that if you focus on downtown and you get downtown going in the right direction, that uplifts everything else. So I feel like for a period of time, maybe next year or the next 2 years, if you focus on the downtown and get the downtown in order and then move the grants out, for me, I think that makes sense.
As the director of the Redevelopment Commission, what is your opinion on it, Mr. Messmore?
Well, it was, the premise for the program was the downtown, and it's a kind of a common practice in main streets throughout the country to focus on the downtown. We decided several years ago to expand the program to include all the residents of the city of Lawrenceburg, and I think it's been well received. I think your description of the consumption and the use is probably fairly accurate. I mean, there's not that there's not some of the same demographics in both locations, up on the hill or downtown. I think that, it calls for further debate and discussion. I think that, and it's on the agenda tonight to refund that program for the remainder of the year for an additional $50,000. We could certainly put specific parameters. We could go 50-50 uphill, downhill, 60-40, something to step into making sure that there's a fair distribution amongst the residents without, alienating any one community over the other. And I just, want to reiterate that's certainly not what we're trying to accomplish here. We're trying to, make the community stronger through, improved housing and, appearance and street presence and those sorts of things. So it is on the agenda tonight. Owner-occupied residential paint facade to refund at $50,000. I think that it, if nothing else, it would make great sense to go 50-50. That way there's a fair distribution. And until we, vet this out over the next 7 months. 6 months, what month is it? January, February, March.
That seems like a fair way to go about it without us having to go to an income-based, because it'll be hard for us to judge people on worthiness based on need. That would be tricky.
Mr. Noppert, did you have a comment on this?
Yeah, I just have a comment that I think will help in your, as you kind of talk through the debate, and it has to do with the nature of the housing that is up on the hill versus the nature of the housing that's down here. And just, I've done projects through this program for different individuals, and there are individuals that are in need of them down here, and there's ones that aren't in need of it as well. But I think one of the critical factors is really the age of the house and the style. A lot of these the houses up on the hill are newer houses with vinyl siding. They have metal wrapped windows, and they have, you know, modern roofs with asphalt shingles. They have regular gutters and fascia. Some of the older places that have been beneficiaries of the grant down here may have had box gutters that were converted. They may have wood columns that it's just much more labor intensive, you know, as to do a front porch down here with the paint and all the soffits and the porch roofs and all those kind of things, just to kind of give you some perspective as you guys are making this decision. That's probably a greater tendency that these are the old historical homes that this is helping to restore, as opposed to the more modern homes that, you know, you can do gutters and roofs and windows, and which are needed up on the hill. And you know, I think that's the reason we went up on the hill, is to kind of be fair to the residents up on the hill as well. So just food for thought. That's
Great points. And that's probably leads back to the premise of the program in the very beginning. So, but, you know, as it stands today, you know, again, I'm recommending that we refund that program with an additional $50,000 for the remainder of 2021.
I'll make the motion to refund it for $50,000.
Are we refunding this based on the notion of 50-50 match, or are we refunding this based on the notion of what we already have set up?
An additional 50,000 on top of the 65 is what.
But what they're saying, potentially what they're saying is we would change
I
it,
think we change it, just keep it the same as it is.
keep it
now.
as it is, but add an
Can't
additional
change it
50,000.
midstream. It's not fair to the people, you know, that's already got it versus the people that apply for it now. I
would
think
tend to
if you
agree.
change it, you need to change the parameters at the beginning of the year when the
Calendar
program
year,
starts.
yeah.
I would agree with that as
Agree.
well. So we have a motion to refund the program with the parameters that have been set since January 1 for an additional $50,000. Do we have a second to that motion?
I have a question. So do we want to keep half the money downtown and half goes to the hill? Or,
Oh, to deviate it that way.
right, so same program, we just dedicate half the money to the hill and half to downtown.
And I think we do
That-
that at the beginning of the year.
I
That's
think we
my
wait till,
opinion.
we can't change it in midstream.
don't think you
We
change
gotta
it
leave it like it
midstream.
is, and let first come, first serve, and then next year,
And then maybe we'll,
switch it.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying, like, for your idea though, Kevin, what I do like is if we do change that at the beginning of the year, say, hey, January 1, when we start this new program, we're gonna say 50,000 for Ludlow Hill, 50,000 for downtown. I mean, just for round numbers. Well, then maybe July we look at it and the hill has $40,000 left that hadn't been, you know, then maybe you look at shifting some of that money back downtown, or vice versa, whatever the situation is. You can look at it midstream at that point, but I like the idea of splitting it 50-50.
Another question to go with this. I mean, like she said, there's a lot of people getting it. It doesn't need a new roof. So how do we determine the next time we do it, if for somebody that needs a new roof and they can't get in because everybody else has got it, how do we determine how the money goes in? How
I
do
don't think
do
we should
this?
be taking any applications after we run out of the money. Go ahead.
Just, I would say, because they do need, we make sure, when someone comes with a roof application, we do ask them, how old is the roof? And it's usually original to the house, over 25 years, so we make sure. And it's just that when you look at the house, it's not in as bad a shape as some of the houses down here, where you can see the porch is literally falling off. But the roofs are old, the windows are old, the siding's old. We make sure that they, you know,
Legitimate need.
it's legitimately aged. It just doesn't look as bad as some of the other
So if
stuff.
somebody just comes up and they say, hey, I just want to put new windows in.
Yeah, we ask.
You check or you look or how you do
They
that?
give us pictures and they tell us, you know, how old it is. And usually once they start showing us the pictures, it's obvious that there's cracks and things. And then there is a whole committee that looks at it to make sure that, you know, they couldn't just, you know, file for insurance or, you know, things like that.
Well, let me ask an additional question as well, just so I understand. I'm not sure how that process works, but when you get to the end of the funding and the funding's gone, or do you allow people to turn in applications for starting in January? Like if we didn't refund this now, would you take applications to start in January?
We
Okay.
don't, because it would be over before it started if we did that.
Right,
So we
okay.
just tell everyone, please mark your calendar, and we start accepting applications in January. And they do, and they mark their calendar, and that's why we approved 9 applications in January this year.
Okay, thank you.
So we still have the motion on the
So
floor.
we do have the motion on the floor to refund with the parameters that started January 1st, 2021, for an additional $50,000. Do we have a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Have a second from Lenny. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The ayes have it. All right, we'll refund that for $50,000.
Thank you.
Thanks for the update.
Brian, where are we at? Let's see here.
You're asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
All right.
No, I know where we
All
are.
right.
We're on the row
We're on
house
the row house, yeah.
structural and
Okay.
external repair.
Okay, we've discussed, when we talk about the row house, we're talking about 140, 146 East High, the building directly adjacent to the Civic Park stage. We acquired those a number of years ago when the park construction was going on, and we've dabbled in getting those repaired, but I'm here today to request the board for approval to proceed with obtaining bids and cost estimates for the repair of that wall. The goal, the outcome of this would be to be able to advertise the property multiple ways. That we would have to be able to advertise it as a stabilized structure available for remodel. We could attach preferred use to the deed or the title in terms of retail or residential. We've discussed a number, we don't have to get into this level of detail. My primary objective tonight is to get approval to proceed with bid. I just wanted to provide a little bit of context with what the next step would be. And even while this process is going on, obviously it'd have to meet all the requirements that we would have anybody else meet if they were to make a proposal on that property, and then they'd have to hopefully would have some historic structure revitalization experience as well. So I mean, those are the kind of things we can box into the advertisement for a property that, you know, that we have made structurally sound and is available for remodel and occupancy.
What you're looking for tonight is just a motion to move forward with getting the bids.
To get the bids. So we'll, and once we get them, we'll figure out how to sort them out and what to do with them.
So moved.
We have a motion from Kevin. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Lenny. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. History tour. Looks like we've got, moving on to old business.
Let's go back to residential exterior grant. Well, I can do it under old business, that's fine.
Oh, I say, yeah, you're right. That is under new business. Residential exterior grant, which we do have in our packets. This is for the non-owner occupied.
Well, there was two. I didn't communicate very well with Kelly on the agenda, but there's two things I wanted to discuss tonight under that same title. One was the addition of the funds that we just did. The second was in your packet. Remember the last meeting, we had a fairly lengthy discussion on non-owner occupied residential exterior improvement grant. This is the draft. We believe it's prepared and ready to go. It's in your packets. We want to make this effective May 1st. So if you have an opportunity, if you want to read through, if there's any questions or comments, this will go to show on May 1st.
Has everybody had an opportunity to read that? And are there any questions that the board might have about it?
No action necessary.
All right. Now moving on to old business.
Yeah.
We have our tax credit housing.
Okay, in your packets, you will see, we have provided the tax credit scoring sheet, and as you recall, we did not score high enough to receive the tax credits that we were pursuing. So what I have in here, again, is the sheet for your review. I will hit just a couple highlights. Obviously, the next steps are going to be for myself, ERS, and the model group to review the new scoring methodology and try to determine whether or not that it's a yes/no decision whether or not to resubmit in July for another shot at the tax credits. If you look at the scoring sheet itself, across the top are self-score, score, and max possible. So anytime the submitting party, they try to figure out how they're going to score. So when we did that, we self-scored at 103. We felt it was inadequate enough for them to invest time and money and resources into the application process. Submitted, and when we were actually scored, we only scored a 98.5 out of a max possible 148. The lowest funded pool that we would have been in was 111.5. So, I mean,
Our own evaluation, that means we wouldn't have qualified, correct?
no, that's correct. So we were, 13 points off being at the lowest score that was approved. And if you look specifically, there are things in here that we, preservation of existing, you can get 6 points. Obviously, we don't have an existing building here. Vacant structure, it's not vacant. So there are things that we're never going to score on. The other side of the coin is you never know how much talent's going to be submitted at the time of the application process. There could be, all the applications could be very similar to ours and we could score competitively. So a little bit of an unknown there. So again, now you can kind of get a look at how these things are done firsthand. And I talked to Kelly today, I need to get a direction by the end of April from ERS and model about how we feel about investing in an additional application in July, and if not, what should we do? Yes, sir.
Question, Brian. So we know what the lowest number was. How many between the lowest number and us do we?
I don't know.
Is there any way to secure that information, or?
Maybe.
I mean, it gives you an idea of maybe how many more people are going to be submitting for it in July, or
Right.
you know what I mean? It's just like if there's 14 other places that are going to go for it in July because they didn't get it.
I'll ask.
Yeah.
I do not know.
It's a question.
Yep. So, again, this was the project at Durbin Plaza for the record, so people.
How many did they grant total? Did you answer that? You might have.
How many what?
How many did they grant out total?
I don't know. I think it's a combination of the value of the projects and the tax credits available, and I believe that those they can vary from application period to application period, as well as the applications can, again, if there's a lot of applications that score high on these things that we just can't score on, we can't compete. If they're similar projects, we may have a better chance.
I have another question, kind of related to the topic, but not so much related. I was reading that the Fairhaven apartments are getting a facelift.
That's correct.
So when they say facelift, does that mean any additional units or just improving on the units that are already established?
I'm not completely familiar, but I'm relatively sure that it's not additional units, it's a rehab of
Just
existing
rehabbing.
units.
Council voted on that, right? So they would know. Just rehabbing?
Yeah, they're rehabbing, but they're gonna take some of the smaller ones and make 2 bedrooms.
Oh.
Yeah, they're more rehab and
Some of them are
expanding
studios,
some of them.
back to back, and they're gonna open this up into a one, make it a 2 studios of 1 or 2 bedrooms. They're actually decreasing the units, but they're gonna rehab the existing ones that are there.
I'm just curious. I
Thank
didn't
you.
know if it would be any additional housing or.
It's really nice though. I mean, it's very much
I think,
needed, but
Justin,
it's
there's
really nice.
supposed to be a
reunion.
couple.
Seen some of the renderings
Dan.
that they released and they look pretty nice.
There's supposed to be like 2 or 3 more units or something when they get done with it, which would be nice.
Thanks. Sorry about that.
That's good. It's a good conversation. I mean, it's clear this board is focused on every single level of housing and every location. So that's awesome. You talk about high end and low end senior in the same meeting. That's terrific.
We got a big space over there, and I really believe we need to try to utilize it, you know, with housing somehow. I mean, if we can't get this, maybe we go some other route, but try to put some stuff over there. We need units for people.
I mean, there's, and we can talk about it in more detail later, but I mean, there's another level of tax credit housing. It's 4%. I mean, but it would be a significant contribution on our end. And for that number of units, we would probably want to think real hard about a different way to invest those dollars.
Well, at
Or
this
find
point,
another location for a bigger project.
at this point, you'll get with the model group and ERS and figure out if we should
I'll
even
be able to
reapply
report
and-
back next meeting,
Okay.
for sure.
And you don't need any action at this point?
No.
So we will wait for that report. Does anybody else have any additional questions? And we've already had our Main Street report, so we are good on that. Was there any additional old business? If not, we'll move on for an approval of the claims. Do I have a motion to approve the claims?
So moved.
Having a motion by Kevin. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Any opposed? Motion does carry. Now we have comments from the audience.
I'll make a comment on the housing, I mean, because I know we were all kind of bummed out, you know, about that, not getting that tax credit, and just for conversation, that we continue to consider, I think that was a big demographic need that was gonna meet, and having accessible, affordable senior housing, and, I mean, there's places like Luther Manor up on the hill, and, the havens on both sides of town, you know, that are critical elements, and just having that access and the affordability with the demographic that we support here in Lawrenceburg is just a critical element. So I just hope that we can continue to look for opportunities there and potential developers. And I don't know what that looks like, but that's I hope that we can continue to focus on that, because obviously housing is a major factor in this area for the seniors, the low income, and then also even transitional. When we're the county hub, you know, and this is a much broader topic, and I don't want to get too far into the weeds, but we also have the jail here that people they get arrested from Ohio and Kentucky, and then they come and they get out of jail and they're on probation in Indiana, and they don't have a car, so they have to live in downtown Lawrenceburg. So it's just like, I know that's getting pretty deep, but that's just the reality of the demographic that we live in, being the county seat here in this area. So which provides a very interesting, you know, kind of transient demographic, but there is a need for housing on all levels. So it's a good conversation to have.
Sure.
Thank you.
If there's no other comments, we will take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
So moved. And do we have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
That's the one I like to be part of.
Yes.
Oh.
What do I need to do?